Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So everybody was asking me to do a Shazam Black Adam video. It's still going to be one of the big Justice League films. Warner Brothers confirmed in the last day that they are still working on it. The Rock is still attached to be Black Adam. So this is just a breakdown of what's going on with that. Well, they announced that it is connected to the larger DC universe. If you guys didn't know that before, you kind of have to assume that all DC movies that are being made now are inside this DC universe, but some of them will be more connected than the others. Like, think of the core Justice League members that we've already met. Those films were incredibly closely linked, even Suicide Squad. But thus far, Suicide Squad has been the only introduction to magic in the DC universe. And it's very supernatural kind of magic, but they've been using the blanket term for anybody with any kind of powers, no matter where they got their powers, no matter how they work. They've been calling them all metahumans. So even though it sounds kind of weird, they do call Superman a metahuman in Suicide Squad. So Billy Batson, who becomes Shazam, Black Adam, anybody from that area of the comics would also be considered a metahuman, according to Amanda Waller and the government. But a lot of you might remember a couple years ago when they were just like getting things rolling with Batman v Superman, they announced that they signed The Rock as Black Adam in the Shazam movie and they had begun development. So cut to a couple years later and it's like, okay, so it's been a couple years, but we haven't heard anything. Is the movie dead? What's happening? They said they're still developing it with The Rock, but they haven't really announced a release date. Let's say that it's more real. The movie is more real than the Marvel Inhumans movie because Kevin Feige took it off the Marvel schedule, but he's like, we're still working on it, it's still happening, but it's not on the schedule, so it's like, well, how much is it happening? So you have to take it with a grain of salt. So Inhumans movie at Marvel is happening, Shazam movie is happening at DC, just to be determined in terms of release date, and they have not cast their Billy Batson yet. That's the next most important thing, because I think a lot of people don't realize there's really like 3 important characters that they need to cast for the movie, and they've already cast Black Adam. He's one. He's the big villain. He'll be a lot of fun. He very much looks the part, but they need to cast the young Billy Batson, who's like a 10-year-old kid. Then they need to cast his adult self, who will be the one walking around as Shazam when Billy Batson says his power word. So it sounds like they're looking for the right story and then waiting for the right kid to come along. So just consider it the same way you would consider the Booster Gold movie. There's a Booster Gold movie that they're making that'll be part of the DC universe, but it's kind of like a comedy type film, so it's not a perfect fit with the other movies that they've made so far, but it's scheduled for a 2018 release date. That might get pushed a little bit depending on how development continues, but there's a person who is working on the script. In fact, the person that is writing the Booster Gold movie is actually one of the writers for the Flash TV show, who is developing it with Greg Berlanti. So that's a whole other thing. If you have absolutely no idea who the Shazam character is, he's Billy Batson, and this is where it gets a lot of fun. They could have a lot of fun with the way they weave the character in with the Justice League in the future. So Billy Batson stumbles upon the wizard Shazam, the Rock of Eternity, who's kind of like the guardian of all magic on Earth. So he imbues Billy Batson with this power to do good. So he has the ability to call down the power of a bunch of different gods, kind of based on the Greek pantheon. So like he has the speed of Hermes, so he can be as fast as the Flash. He has magical lightning like Zeus. He can fly. He has a number of different powers that he can use each at any given time, but he has to like specifically call down those powers. But they're activated when he says his power word. The word is Shazam. So he says Shazam, boom, struck by the magical lightning, and what it does is it transforms him into his ideal self. And his ideal self is an adult. So when he's walking around as Shazam, he looks like he would if he were an adult, but he's like a 10-year-old kid walking around in the body of his adult self. So the fun part is that his adult self looks very similar to Clark Kent's Superman. So I think it'd be really fun for the movie to play with the idea that Superman is like the god of Earth. Everybody either worships him or hates him and thinks he's a demon. So Billy Batson, 10-year-old kid, like a typical 10-year-old kid would, probably idealizes Superman and wants to be like him. So when he activates the power of Shazam, wouldn't it be awesome if he looked a little bit like Superman in the movie? Now, obviously, they can't have Henry Cavill play Shazam. You can't make the metaphor that literal, but it can be someone who looks relatively like Henry Cavill. So it's like, oh, of course a 10-year-old kid in this universe would probably love the idea of Superman and think that he's the best thing ever. Wouldn't your ideal self look kind of like Superman? So let me know in the comments, how do you think they're going to connect the Shazam movie to the Justice League movie? Because they've already done supernatural things because of Suicide Squad, so it's not super hard to connect them, but there has to be a reason for Billy Batson to work with the Justice League. So that means that The Rock, Black Adam, in the movie will have to do something that's so big and terrible that it will get the attention of Batman and the Justice League. Like, oh my god, what is happening in this part of the world? There's this giant magical battle. Like, Batman will have to see Billy Batson as Shazam take Black Adam down and be like, oh, okay, he was also inspired by a Superman sacrifice, so we should probably get him on our team before something terrible happens to him. Because, remember Amanda Waller's comment during Suicide Squad, she said, we need to get these metahumans on our team before somebody else picks them up. As if the other governments of the world, like the not-so-nice governments of the world and other evil organizations, are trying to build their own teams of metahumans. So I think what'll happen is like, whatever goes down, whatever the plot they want to use for the Shazam movie is going to be, it'll just get the attention of the Justice League. I think Superman would actually be a good cameo in that film too. Like, you have Batman cameo in some of the other films. Superman should cameo in some of the other films too. But I think he works better in films of more powerful people. Like, he would work really well in the Aquaman movie. Shazam is another one too, because Shazam is kind of like the Superman of magic. And he kind of looks like him too in the comics. So let me know, do you think that the Shazam actor, like the person as the adult Shazam, should look kind of like Henry Cavill's version of Superman? So hopefully they'll have a little bit of fun with that. But if there was any confusion, Shazam movie, still happening, will totally connect to Justice League. But as announced in my Aquaman video that I just posted, I was going to do a Supergirl video, but there's a new round of the giveaway that starts now. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this video. It's just a $20 Amazon gift card. So next video will be that Supergirl Season 2 video. And then I'll probably do some Marvel after that. It's been a little while since I've done a Marvel video. While you guys wait for that to post, you can click here for my Aquaman video, and you can click here to learn all about Superman and Supergirl Season 2. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody, let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.